Hello, welcome to ISP channels. I'm PRADIPTA comes with a new episodes. Very interesting chapters here, guys. Those who are preparing for the civil service and SSC and banking sectors and competitive sectors. Nice chapters, nice burning chapters. Why Switzerland suspended most favored nations status to India? What is the real cause behind why the Switzerland recently diverged India from its most favored nations, that is MFN. Let's discuss. Look at the pictures. The Switzerland's flags. Why Switzerland suspended most favored nations status to India? Let's start discussions. Recently, Switzerland has announced it will suspend the most favored nations MFN status with India, that is starting from 1st January 2025. Okay, 2025. Okay, it is a move to have far-reaching impact on Indian companies operating in Switzerland and Swiss investment India. It is a move set to have far-reaching impact. Impact on Indian companies, those who are operating Switzerland and Swiss investments in India also. The unilateral actions from European countries stems from double taxation avoidance, that is AA, between two countries. India and Switzerland with the double taxation avoidance is a very bad impact on double taxation avoidance agreements. Earlier, on 11th December, the Swiss Finance Department issued an official statement that pointing to a 2023 rulings by the Supreme Court of India, the Nestle case. Remember this. In the Nestle case, the Supreme Court of India has given a judgment as a reason for the significant decisions. This is the prime factors of why the Switzerland suspend India as its most favored nations. This is the main cause of this Nestle case is the main cause behind the dispute matters. आइए देखिए, what are the questions arise? What exactly does the most favored nation status means? So what do we mean by the MFN? The MFN means क्या है? And the second सवाल क्या है? Why has Switzerland decided to revoke it? Second case. And third सवाल क्या है? How will this impact Indian businessmen? इटा Indian businessmen ऊपर पे क्या impact पड़ेगा? Okay. Now discuss. What is the most favored nation status between India and Switzerland? The most favored nation status is a term commonly used in international trade agreements, especially export and export. Export and import. The country extends the best possible treatments at tariff rate, which it offers to others under similar circumstances. It is very important. It ensures that a country extends the best possible treatment at tariff rates to one nation, which it offers to the other nations under similar circumstances, vice versa. In tax treaties such as the double taxation avoidance agreement, that is DTAA, between India and Switzerland, the most favored nations clause ensure that the lower tax rates applied to the residents of other OECD, Organization of Economic Countries, and are extended to the treaty partners as well. Organization of Economic Cooperation and Developments. The OECD The Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development was established in 1961 in Paris. It serves as the forum and knowledge hub for data analysis and best practices in public policy. इसका मकसद था. Its main aim is to build stronger, fairer, and cleaner societies, helping to shape better policies for better lives. Okay. The OECD collaborates closely with policymakers, stakeholders, and citizens to create and address social, economic, and environmental challenges. Very important things. India and Switzerland evidence in 1994 with amendment made in 2010. Double taxations avoidance agreements. What do you mean by double taxations avoidance agreements? They are relax the taxes, especially export and imports, both countries, one to others. India also relaxed the import tax from Switzerland, and Switzerland also relaxed the export tax of imported tax from Government of India. Okay, so both countries are come to a stage, come to a situations, come to a point that both countries have to reduce their tax systems so that it will be more transparent, more reliable for international trades, that is export and import. Okay, the businessmen or entrepreneur will be benefited and entrepreneur interested to export and imports, vice versa. Look at the backgrounds. India has previously signed tax agreement with Lithuania and Colombia also. It set lower tax rates, that is the main factor. It set lower tax rates on certain types of income compared to those offered to OECD countries. Okay, both these countries later became a member of OECD, Lithuania and Colombia. Okay. In 2021, Switzerland interpreted that the accession of Colombia and Lithuania to OECD meant that 5% tax rate on dividends would apply to India's Switzerland tax treaty under the Most-Favoured Nation clause, instead of 10% specified in the agreements. So, पहले 10% था, Switzerland demanded that it should be lowered to 5%, as Lithuania and Colombia, both are the member of the OECD. However, Supreme Court of India ruling during a long-standing case between AO versus Nestle over the interpretation of Most-Favoured Nation status ultimately resulted in a decision that went against Switzerland's expectations. Switzerland's expectations are 10% to 5%, but in the case between AO and Nestle, the Supreme Court of India given verdict that it should be 10%. Okay? What was the Supreme Court ruling? Look at that. According to Switzerland's Finance Department, in 2021, the Delhi High Court hearing the case against Nestle, the court upheld the applicability of residual tax rates after taking into account Most-Favoured Nations clause under the double taxation avoidance treaty. That is the main cause. And then this was in line of how Switzerland has interpreted and ensured that companies and individuals are not subject to double taxations while working for foreign entities. Okay, the A1 Nestle over the interpretation of the MFN status ultimately resulted Switzerland withdrawing the status. This is the main cause. However, Indian Supreme Court, a decision dated October 19, 2023, reversed the lower court's decision, concluded that Most-Favoured Nations clause is specifically mentioned in a notification in accordance to Section 90 of Income Tax. Okay. Now, Switzerland opposed Supreme Court's ruling and revokes MFN status. But Switzerland did not accept the Supreme Court of India's decisions. Switzerland has responded to the situation by unilaterally revoking India's MFN status, explicitly citing the Indian Supreme Court as the reason for its decision. Okay, this is the main cause. This means that, look at the decisions. This means that starting January 2025, January 1st, Switzerland will impose 10% tax from current 5% tax. Okay, on dividends payable to Indian tax residents and entities seeking refund for Swiss withholding tax. Now it will be 10% against the 5%. The same will apply to Swiss tax residents claiming to foreign tax credit also. Okay, export and import में 10% tax लगाएंगे. The Swiss Finance Department cited 2023 ruling by the Indian Supreme Court and announced the suspension of application of MFN clause of the protocol to the Agreement of India for the avoidance of double taxation with respect to tax on income. So, how will we impact on the business? That is the main cause. That is the main factors. If the Switzerland imposed 10% taxation on import and exports, what will it impact the business? Okay, Switzerland's decision to revoke India's Most-Favoured Nation status is viewed by export as a retaliatory step following the Supreme Court ruling, while others interpret it as a measure of reciprocity. Okay. Nangia Anderson's M&A tax partners Sandeep Junjunwala. According to Sandeep Junjunwala, the tax consultants describe the unilateral suspensions of the Most-Favoured Nation clause as a significant shift in a bilateral treaty dynamics. The suspension may lead to increased tax liabilities for Indian entities operating in Switzerland. Okay, bad impact on the tax liabilities for Indian entities operating in Switzerland. Indian entrepreneurs and businessmen, those who are business in Switzerland, they will face, highlighting the complexities of navigating international tax treaties and evolving global landscape. The AKM Global Tax Partner, Amit Maheshwari, what is pointers? According to Amit Maheshwari, the AKM Global Tax Partner pointed out that reciprocity is the primary reason of Switzerland's decisions. Earlier, Swiss authorities announced in August 2021 that based on MFN clause between Switzerland and India, that the tax rate of dividends from qualifying shares effective retroactively from 5th July 2018. However, the subsequent Supreme Court ruling in 2020. So this change could impact Swiss investment in India as dividends will now face higher withholding tax rates. Okay. Now, from 1st January 2000 text, I outlined the original double taxation treaty, regardless of Most-Favoured Nations clause. JSA advocate and solicitor partner Kumar Mangalam Vijay highlighted that this should particularly affect Indian companies with overseas direct investment structure involving subsidiaries in Switzerland. The Swiss withholding tax on dividend will increase from 5% to 10%. That is a big issue. Okay. Thank you. We'll see you in the next episodes. Okay. Bye.